What's up, guys? Thrush here, and I wanted to bring you just a real quick video about something relatively new to Warframe that I just honestly got into. I had to form a bit more than I had before. As you can see, my Nova here is rocking one more than the last time you saw her, and my where's my Loki here? Uh, there's Ash. Oh, there we go, Loki. And my Loki is also running a forma which he didn't have before. And I wanted to talk really quick about the Exiles mod slot, the slot up here that's locked for most of you if you don't have an Exiles adapter yet. And oh, Xbox on Snap. Sorry about that. Sometimes Xbox can be a little dumb. Okay, back to the video. So I want to talk to you really quick about this Exiles mod slot and its utility. So if you guys remember in my Loki video, I talked about flow or natural talent being the way to go on this guy because of casting speed, especially radial disarm. It's quite slow. And I managed the other day, I did this Orc and Moon mission, and I managed to track down this power drift. And once I found this, I went and I searched up drift mods because I'd heard there was a set of these mods and I wanted to get my hands on it. So I did some trades, traded a whole bunch of extra nightmare stuff, and I managed to get a full set of these. Let's take a look at them if I just search them up here so you can see the whole set. So there is a total of 7 of these mods. You got Speed Drift, which I have on right now. There's Cunning Drift. There is Power Drift, Agility Drift, Coaction Drift, Endurance Drift, and Stealth Drift. And the ones I'm finding the most useful so far is I've been using Speed Drift on my Loki, and I swapped out my Natural Talent for Primed Flow here that I managed to finally rank up and make useful. And what this I find does is, yeah, the sprint speed is great because I used to put a rush on my Loki to help just make him a little bit faster because he's so squishy. But is the 15% casting speed, and I know it's not anywhere near as good as say a natural talent or something like that, because a natural talent does 50%, but it does enough that it helps you a little bit and makes things feel a little bit easier. And it also only takes 9 slots. Plus, it gives you a bit of boost to your speed, which is nice, because you don't exactly want to have to be rushing, say, a rush in one of these main sort of 8 slots or any of those types of things. So it lets you sort of throw something in there that not only buffs your movement a little bit, but buffs your casting speed, which is great. As for the other mods, let's take a look back here at my Nova. I've been toying with a few ideas with Nova, and I haven't really settled in it. As you can see, I'm also grinding out a whole bunch of focus. If we take a look at Nova, I'm rocking Power Drift right now on Nova, because for those who don't know, your power strength affects how slow the enemies are. So if you look here on my Speed Nova build, my power strength is actually at 40% so that the enemies come at me faster. But on my main, people are starting to call it Slova nowadays. I find having more strength can be really nice. So I've been running Power Drift, and I've also been testing the idea of having a little bit more range and running, where is it? Cunning Drift here, which also increases your slide and reduces your friction, allowing you to be a little bit more slippy on the ground, which does take a little bit of getting used to. But for any of you PC guys who have played Neza yet, or any of those sorts of things, that shouldn't really be an issue for you. So Speed Drift and Power Drift and Cunning Drift are really the ones that I've played around with so far. I have less use for Agility Drift. It doesn't seem that great to me. They reduce damage while elbowing by 2%, and plus 1% evasion. That could be nice, honestly, at high levels if it's fully ranked, because I'm assuming that would go up to 15 or 20%, something like that. So that could be a worthwhile thing. I wonder if that actually applies for R-Spring stuff or not. And the evasion could be great, but again, with a lot of these squishy characters, it's really, you can't really evade the bullets. You just sort of have to out crowd control them, or be invisible in the case of Loki. Um, Coaction drift is something that I'd really like to test with energy siphon and with corrosive projection, because I think that it could really make the difference. I had tested this out with steel charge, and I didn't find there was that much of a difference. Yes, it does increase the aura strength, so I would assume that my melee attacks would be stronger than they already were. But to be honest with you, it wasn't noticeable. The ones I have on right now are noticeable, and this stacks really nicely as well if you like to use Constitution. I believe that's what it's called. It stacks really well with that to help you resist knockdown. Endurance drift is good. I mean, if you need lots of power, most of my frames tend to fall in a situation where they're either super efficient, so they don't need a ton of power. In the case of Nova here, that you can see has 263 power max. Or in the case of guys like Loki, I have flow on there, so I have 700 and some, and I really don't need this small buff. And getting parkour velocity, yeah, it's great. I mean, you can probably wall run faster and all that stuff, but just general running faster will almost always be better. So I've tended to avoid this thus far. And then last but not least is stealth drift, enemy radar, aim while gliding, and latching onto walls, which, to be honest with you, I haven't had to use latching onto walls other than the new movement tutorial. Even in spy missions, I tend to just sort of jump back and forth if I need to stay relatively in one spot. It's done me fairly well. And the enemy radar is great, but if you guys are really looking for enemy radar, you should go and find yourself an Animal Instinct. It's worth finding. It's a heck of a lot better than the stealth drift is, and it doesn't need to take up room in your build. It's, you could put it on your sentinel or whatever it may be and work on it that way. It seems to make a lot more sense to me. So I'd recommend you try out these builds. Try unlocking the Exilus slot on a few of your favorite frames and trying them. Some of the other Exilus mods are good. Like Rush is a pretty good mod. Maglev is more fun than I think. Handspring is probably the best one of just the single stat mods, because at rank 3 it can be really, really effective. That's worth looking into. I did sort of like these elemental ones. I have Lightning Dash, and I also have Ice Spring. They add elements to your jumping, which visually looks cool, but I hadn't found any sort of practical effect for them yet. So I'd recommend give these a try, and quite frankly, unlike these Nightmare mods that have an upside and a downside, these are double upside. So really, if you have the space for them, run it, stick it on there, get it done. I think you'll really like it. I know I'm liking it so far. So that's all I have to say. I should have another longer Warframe video for you guys soon. Naza should be out here on console in about a week, and I've already started brainstorming some builds based off of what I've seen, to bring you guys something fun with that, because he looks like he could be a really good combination of some of the more crowd control-y frames that I like, and the fast frames, still with a little bit of the tankiness of Rhino. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you give your Exilus slot a chance. Go ahead and find one, play the Clem's quest there, and get yourself one. And I'll see you in the next video.